Hey everybody, welcome to episode 54 of Making It. I'm Bob Clagett, here with David Picciuto.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. And Jimmy Diresta.
Hello everybody.
How you guys doing?
Very good.
I'm good. Very good. Relaxed. Chilled out.
Awesome. What's going on? Anything new?
Working my butt off. Last week, I got a couple videos out. I put out the video on all my photography and video equipment. And that's threw a bunch of tips in there. And I got a good response out of that. And then on Friday, I put out the duplicating a vinyl record with molds and resins. And that was really fun. Got retweeted a couple times by Third Man Records, so that was
nice.
That made me feel good. Yeah.
Awesome.
I did anybody? I haven't looked at the comments, but did anybody get mad at you for putting a Sun record in Umu?
No.
Because it came out, it looked totally fine.
Yeah, it was completely fine. There was a couple comments of like, "Oh, well, you should have used a vacuum chamber, or you should have done this," and I'm like, it came out pretty good. I don't.
You know, honestly, when you make a mold like that, that's like one sided. When you turn it over, the bubbles float away from the subject, so it usually works really good.
And I love the way it came out. I've gotten a great response out of it. And today I tried to make a chocolate version of it, and the first attempt failed. So we're on attempt number 2, using the same mold, but with chocolate this time.
Mm-hmm. So you just had to eat the first record, and then like, oh, gonna have to do it again. Oh, this one didn't work either.
I mean, it's part of the job.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, I'm not. I kind of have a slow week starting. I had a consultation today with. I'm going to be making a classroom over at a lower school. It's not a. It's kind of like K through 6, I think, or maybe even K through 5. I'm not sure, but I'm making over one of the rooms into a makerspace, a very junior makerspace. So I had that meeting today, and talking about taking this very clinical, like kind of 1970s looking classroom, and turning it into. Some of the conversation kind of went towards like Silicon Valley startup look, with like raw wood and like metal edge. Obviously, not going to be anything less than safe for the kids, but and a lot of birch plywood tables and chairs and stuff. So I just had that meeting today, and that went well. So that's going to be my next probably 2 months work, among other things. But this classroom is going to be my priority, is converting this classroom, and hopefully I'll get a couple of videos out of that. And I released the WWE video today, which was pretty cool because WWE, the reason it took long for me to put it out, I released it last night. Today's Tuesday, so I put it out last night. But WWE got a sniff of the video through friends, and they loved it, and they showed it to Brock, and Brock loves it. And so they said, hey, can you hold off to put it out? Because Brock's going to be coming back. He's the guy who has the tattoo of the sword. And so I kind of manipulated that, and it worked. So we'll see. I made the video, and then I started sending it around to friends who I thought knew them, and it kind of worked. We'll see. So it's all about getting publicity. At the moment, the video is growing at the same rate as most other videos, so it's not completely blown up. But who knows? By the time this will be Friday, maybe it'll be doing better. But so that was fun. So I got to start a new video this week, and I might start the chessboard for the chess pieces that I made. I have a couple of visions and a couple of little details that might make up a good video, so I'm going to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The makerspace school room thing sounds really cool.
Yeah, because
I wonder if you'll like run into considerations that you've never had to think about for kids.
Oh, absolutely, because there's not going to be bandsaws and chop saws, and going to be a lot of chalk paint. I even said, let's just put chalk paint all over the floor, going right up to the walls, and my clients were like, we love that idea. Right now they have this old like tile floor that's like buffed and polished. It looks like it was put on in 1965. But I said, I'll do some research to see if we could paint right over this, or what epoxy we could put over it to paint onto. And so they said they want this room to feel like it's about developing creativity and not necessarily doing circuit boards and stuff like that. It's about getting the kids outside of their own, and it's going to be fun because these kids are, they're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. So they're pretty creative as a child goes, they're sort of untainted. And it's to try and drum up more creativity within them. So it's going to be some murals and stuff. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really cool. I'd love to see what you come up with, because I mean that's my kids are in those ages. And,
actually, we should have some conversations about it. I'll send you some of the concept drawings that I'm going to ultimately do. I photographed all the walls of the room, and we're on a budget, so I can't like rip a wall out and change it. So, but there are some things I'm going to do, like cubbies, and right now it looks like it was made over probably 35 years ago, and it's just like the classrooms that we probably all went to. If you're 40 something years old. It looks like that's the classroom we were in when we were kindergartners. That's how old it is. And so we're just going to try and juice it up.
Did you guys have the cardboard bricks in your kindergarten classroom like we did?
Yes.
Yes.
Cardboard what?
Cardboard bricks. So it was just like look like a brick, but it was made of cardboard, and you can make forts and whatever.
I'm 80 years old, so we had real bricks when I was in.
You're like 10 years older than me.
You can still get those cardboard bricks.
Oh.
Yeah.
We had real bricks. No, I had wooden. We had wooden bricks that were very weathered and worn from like the previous years. So, our bricks were all like, if it was supposed to be a square brick, it hardly stood up on its end. They were so worn out.
Jimmy's
back in my day,
we had real bricks. We didn't have fancy Legos.
Every time, it's funny when you talk about bricks from kindergarten, every time I see an arch, I think of the very first time I saw an arch, which was an arch brick. That's like the rectangle with the arch cut out of it. And you would put like, columns on either side of it. Every single time I see an arch, I immediately remember the brick I saw in Mrs. Munch's class when I was, how old are you in kindergarten? 5 years old?
Yes. 5, 6.
So it's pretty amazing, what the brain remembers and chooses to like my brain is constantly playing match game. It's like, oh, there's that one and there's one just like that across the street. Whenever I go down the street and there's the same car on both, I get nervous. I'm like, oh my God, there's a car. There's another one over there. I'm like,
there's a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah. Oh my God. I see the same car twice. Oh no. No. So my brain is constantly playing match game with like, past and present. It's pretty crazy.
Nuts. Well, for me, I built a bike rack this week. I have, a lot of kids. And so we have a lot of bikes. We have bikes and scooters and skateboards and just helmets and all sorts of stuff. So I built a big, like 12-foot long bike rack to put in front of our house, put all that stuff in. And so that was kind of nice to be building something for outside.
Is it going to be a bike rack where like the neighbors will park their bike and abandon them? Like bikes locked to it with no wheels on it?
I hope not. Actually, they won't, because there's no room on it. Like, I was going to say,
you have enough people in your family that you'll get like some abandoned bikes and like nobody will claim them.
Yeah, well, it's possible. But yeah, I mean, it's like full. I was thinking like, I'm making it bigger than I need to. Nope, it's every single spot is full. So I did that. And then last week, when the same day this show went up, I released a new brain pick, first brain pick since May, I realized, which was crazy. That was with Bill Duran, which was a lot of fun. He's a super cool guy. I've talked about him before. He does Punished Props.
Oh, right.
Prop maker.
I like that.
And he's a really cool guy. And he's actually coming to Savannah later in the year, so we're going to do something when he's here, which is really cool. So, yeah, I've been trying to get back into doing that show and still working on the arcade. The arcade is in my living room. Did I send you guys a picture of it?
I saw that with the big decal on it. It looks killer. Has anybody else seen it yet?
No.
Uh-oh. All right. I got to untweet that. Hold on.
Is it completely finished?
The case is finished. Okay. I mean, it's like it looks like it would work, but there's no electronics in it yet. So this week I'm going to try to get it actually like functioning and start getting the lights and speakers in and all that stuff. But it looks amazing. I don't mean that in like a I'm awesome way. I just mean like seeing it in real life is just like so motivating to.
I tell my students that all the time, and I know I've said it. I might have said it here. I might have said it, but when you make something and when you wake up and the first thing you want to do is go and look at that thing, that's the feeling that you should have about the things you make. That means you're proud of what you do. And there's no reason to feel ashamed about saying that.
Yeah,
especially from me. I'm such an egomaniac.
Yeah, your name was all over that last video. It was on everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. As he pulls down his hat with his name on it. Yes.
We went out to dinner the other night and I was like, could you just wear something that doesn't have your name on it? I was like, all right.
Okay, what you need to do is make a hat that says Taylor on it. And then like next time she asks you,
I have one. I have one.
Okay, well, there you go.
It says Taylor's Fishing Lures from Filson. It was a gift from my friend.
Nice. Yeah, so that's what I'm up to. I've been working on some new stuff for next week. But
Can you project when the video of the arcade game will be available?
So we're shooting for either the last week of January or the first week of February. Mm-hmm. And the reason that's kind of taking so long is because I'm making plans, my first real set of plans for the arcade, and it's kind of a complex build to make your first set of plans out of. So we're trying to do the plans, edit the video. I'm still building the thing, so all that together, trying to get it ready to have the first part out at the end of the month or beginning of next month, and then every week after that for 3 or 4 weeks will be the next step.
Well,
so
you think is it going to be consecutive videos, or are you going to throw things in between there to break it up?
I may have to put one in the middle of it, just because I have a sponsor obligation. And so I might have to fit that in somewhere, but I'd kind of like to just get through them and just get it, get it all out.
Right.
And that will give me, if there's 4 videos, that'll give me 4 weeks at that point I'll be finished with it. So I'll have 4 weeks to start working on what's going to come after that, which I want to try to use that time to really get ahead. So I'm not always like looking at next week. Like, what am I doing for next week? So that's kind of one of the big things I'm trying to accomplish with releasing all the videos in a block.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's get into what our topic this week, and this comes from Ryan via Twitter, and he asks, "Are your YouTube channels more of a means to an end, or are they the end goal?" You guys have any thoughts on that?
I can start since I blab a lot. Means to an end. I've said this before, and I said it publicly, that I started my YouTube channel out of revenge for the television business because I felt like I didn't get my fair shake. But, it wasn't anything personal in hindsight. Nobody even, people at Discovery Channel hardly even knew who I was. They look at the show as the show itself. Of course, the show's made up of the talent and so on, but it wasn't anything personal when they pulled the plug on that show. It was just more of like a corporate thing. And when I started my channel, I said, I'm going to show them. I'm going to build my audience and then go back to TV with a better deal, with people actually being unable to ignore me. And that was really my focus at the start. But now I'm totally happy where I am. I have no real interest in being on TV other than to promote my YouTube channel. And, I've had conversations with TV producers all the time, and they're complete morons. If you're a TV producer and you're listening to this, prove to me that you're not a complete moron. I swear. Everyone I talk to is a complete moron. And they're supposed to be the cool makers and the people on the edge of, trend setting, and they know nothing. I recently spoke to a TV producer who was a complete moron, and he didn't know who Nick Offerman was, and he didn't know who Adam Savage was.
Wow.
And he's calling me to try and get me to do a tap dance for him so he could promote me to television. I said, "You're such an idiot. I don't even want you to promote me to TV." On the inside. No, the Skype call got slightly contentious, and I kind of ended it calmly. But this is, the more time goes on, the more out of touch I find that television people are. And excuse me, someone's ringing my vibrating phone. I'm going to shut it off.
TV producer.
That's my dad. He's probably just saw the sword video for the first time. He's calling me to ask me if I met the guy yet. I know it. So he'd be like, "Did you meet this guy yet with the tattoo?" That's my dad. So I'm so happy on YouTube. And as far as a means to an end, there's a lot of things I'm getting out of it. Of course, I'm developing a fan base, which is, awesome. And I met so many good friends, including Ryan, who asked this question. Ryan came and hung out with me for 2 days this week, and he met every freak in my life. In those 2 days he was here, and he goes, "Is there usually this many?" He's super kind and super nice, and he would never say freak or weirdo, at least not in front of me. But I can only imagine most was like, "Wow, there's another freak weirdo he's friends with." But I left the door to my shop open for 2 days, and everybody in the neighborhood wanders in and says hello, "Hey, what's going on?" And so Ryan got to meet all these weirdos. And we went for a walk a couple times, and I met the weirdos on the street. But I'm sure he had a lot of fun. But in context of walking down the street with somebody who's for the first time meeting your weird, strange neighbors, like it was kind of accentuated to me. You know, it was like putting a mirror up and being like, oh, wow, look, I got to explain this weirdo to Ryan. I got to explain this weirdo to Ryan. But we had fun. And actually, Ryan helped me with the last batch of ice picks, which are ready to go out. And yeah, so that was great help. But YouTube is definitely, I feel, the end for me. I think anything beyond YouTube is just going to be some, corporate, just garnishing some corporate advertising money some way, but still using YouTube. But one thing that scares me, and I don't know if you guys I follow some gun blogs, and it came up this week, a website called, a YouTube channel called Hitchcock. I think it's Hitchcock 45. A father and son, I think they're father and son. They do gun reviews, and they have 1,800,000 subs. And the channel got turned off by YouTube with no real explanation. And it was very scary to think, if you go to Hitchcock 47 or 45 or whatever the hell it is, I'll find the name before the end of the episode. Their channel just got turned off. Maybe somebody ratted on them, some, surreptitious or some false claim. But they said that when they went to their channel, they said it got a window that said in violation of the YouTube, code of ethics. So we're turning it, your channel has been terminated. And they talk about it in a video, obviously a recent video. They think there's one or two new ones since that one, but this is about a week ago. And they discuss what happened, and they basically said, we don't know what happened. We don't really have a clear explanation as to why. The automatons or automatic robots that scan and search information flag their channel and shut it off. So as far as, YouTube is a means to an end, it's scary to think that, we have all our eggs in this YouTube basket. But, for now, I still have all my videos copied onto my computers, of course. But, it would be scary to think that, this YouTube life is that fragile. They did get their channel back after some, they lobbied to say, hey, what's wrong? And YouTube has this, shoot first, ask questions later is how they put it. There's no pun intended because they're a gun channel, but it's like, guilty and proven innocent is kind of what it is. You guys know when you monetize something, it automatically says unable to monetize it. We'll check it and then we'll let you know later if this is okay. That's because they think there might be some copyright infringement or something. So I don't know. So that just sheds a little light on how fragile our existence is, dealing with these things. But, I think YouTube is definitely a great community that's developed in the last few years among all of us and, our friends. And it's funny when I'm kind of in a couple of different worlds, I know the blacksmiths are kind of friendly, and then the gun guys are all friendly with each other. And the metal steel welder guys are all friendly with each other. And it's really fun to kind of go in and out of those different communities and see. So, I hope YouTube is here to stay. For me, I don't really see the only thing my career is going to do is just kind of focus more and more on YouTube movies, it seems. So, and less on client builds. That's kind of my personal goal. But I always need content, so client builds a good content, so it's not going to go away totally.
Yeah, for me, I don't have an end goal. There's never going to be an end goal for me. Everything that I do is so far in my life has been a stepping stone for the next thing. And I've talked about it before, from being a graphic designer to a web developer and all that. All these things have led up to where I am now, and maybe this is leading up to something else. But I have no plans of doing anything else. But I also try to keep it my goals kind of short term and accomplishable. So who knows what the future is, but right now I'm putting all my efforts into making my YouTube channel grow, and I don't have all my eggs in the YouTube basket. I have a lot of eggs on my website. I have a lot of eggs, they're kind of scattered all over the place. But yeah, if YouTube took my channel down, I'd be in a panic, that's for sure. But I would have other sources of income. But yeah, and we've seen what was it? Friendster turned into MySpace, turned into Facebook, and now Facebook seems to be getting old. Like I don't see the 16 to 17 year olds on Facebook. They're using the next thing. So I don't think YouTube's going anywhere in the short term, but you never know. Everything moves so fast.
You never know. You really never know. Yeah. It is scary.
And I like it being scary. I like not knowing what the future is. It makes life fun.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely exciting. I mean, I know I always badmouth TV, and I think all TV producers are idiots. But if I found a TV producer that wasn't an idiot and that did give me the opportunity to produce a show that I would want, that I would include my friends in, including my friends on YouTube, you guys and David and whoever else, I would certainly say, hey, let's give it a shot. But, to find a TV producer that isn't a moron is going to be hard.
So wait, remind me again how you feel about TV producers?
They're all morons.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I mean,
I'm saying it with a straight face to try and make you guys laugh.
It's working.
For me, I'm kind of with you, David. I think I thought of it a different way than you said it, but I think my end goal, I'm already at my end goal, but my end goal is not something that's finished, right? It's not something that's just going to be like, yep, I did the thing, now I'm done doing stuff.
Yeah.
I think and I'm still developing it to a point, I guess, but my end goal that I'm looking at now is to have larger reach, to be able to inspire more types of people, more people in whatever they're doing. And I think a big one of my goals is to inspire a lot of different age ranges, is to be able to reach kids at an inspiration level before they realize that things can be difficult, before they realize that things can be impossible.
That's a good angle. It's really smart.
I mean, like, if you can get them to think outside of their reality, or not be kind of held in by their reality, then they're going to have a lot more opportunity to come up with like crazy ideas, the stuff that's going to be really different in the next generation. And I know that's kind of a lofty, like, whatever, world-changing thought process. I'm not expecting to change the world with what I do in that way, but being able to reach those kids and different people and different types of situations, that's kind of a goal of mine. So right now that goal is being met by YouTube, and I hope that continues, because I'm with you, Jimmy. Like, I just really enjoy the community. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Enjoy the community and enjoy the interaction and the reach that it provides. And so I hope that doesn't go away. But if it does, I think one of the reasons that all of us get involved in social media is to build a connection and a community outside of a single network. I mean, that's why we all use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. Because not all of those people are on YouTube, and not all the people, on one or on the other. And that's also why, like, it's a good idea to build your email list, because we've talked about Pat Flynn before. He's a guy that runs a podcast, Smart Passive Income podcast. And if you're an entrepreneur, it's something you definitely should be listening to. One of the stories that he told one time was that, and it was when he was first getting started, I believe, somebody hacked into his website and took it over and took it down. And so he's building this business and everything, and all of a sudden the business just disappears as far as like what it can provide, how it's making money, all that stuff is just gone. And the way that he was able to get in touch with all these people who had been wanting to follow what he was doing was through his email list, which was held on a different server, which was not accessible through the website and all this stuff. So he could immediately, and he actually used YouTube in the same way. He put up a video that said, my site is down. If you go there and you see anything, it's not me until I tell you that it's me right here on this channel, until you see me physically say it. Did the same thing with email. It's like, hey, everybody, my site's down. Here's the situation. You will hear back from me when it's fixed. Don't go there. And so all that to say, it's almost problematic to try to keep track of all these different social networks and try to build them all up. But it's also kind of a safety net, because if YouTube did decide to take our channels down, all we have to do is send out a tweet and reach, maybe a small percentage of our audience, but we reach some of the audience and say, here's what happened. Tell your friends. If anybody cares about what I'm doing, help them find me. Here's my new, I'm on Vimeo now, or I'm on whatever, So it is kind of work to have those backups. But I think looking at social networking and email lists and all that stuff as kind of a community backup is kind of a good thing to do. Because, yeah, you're right. Stuff can change anytime. I mean, YouTube could, all the kids could be like, nope, I'm done with YouTube. We're going to Snapchat. That's all we're doing now, That could happen any moment, or some other brand new thing that's not even out yet. And it's almost guaranteed to happen, I guess, at some point. But depends on whether we will be around.
You know what? You brought up a point about social media, which I think is something important to share with you guys that I heard this morning. Kevin Hart was on Howard Stern today, and Kevin Hart is like a massive comedian. If you don't know him, like massive as far as success. And he took control of it. I didn't know any of this about him, but he took major control of his own career. He was like waiting around to try and be famous in TVs and movies. And he said, you know what? The reason I'm here is because of stand-up. Let me just go on the road. He said he did the same 30 or 40 cities every year for like 4 or 5 years in a row and just kept building that audience, collecting emails and building his social media. And then now that he's back again as a huge movie star, he said one of the studios said to him, oh, make sure you tweet all this stuff. And he goes, wait a minute, I have over 1 million followers on my social media. Let's work out a business plan where you pay me to do that. And they're like, wait, wouldn't you do that anyway? He's like, no. He's like, give me your Rolodex. Let me send all my information that I want all your people to know about. And he was basically saying, MGM Studio is going to open their Rolodex so he could give out free information to all the contacts they've developed. He says, you got to kind of change your point of view. It's like, yeah, these are all people that I talk to on a daily basis, but if I'm going to feed them some advertising, you're going to pay me. I mean, it seems kind of obvious, but he said they kind of took it for granted that since they hired him, they hired his whole entire network. He goes, no. You hired me as an actor. If you want to hire me as a network businessman, that's a different price. So I just thought that was something interesting, for us and, the community at large to realize if you are building a social media thing, we make a little bit of money through YouTube, but some people have a much bigger success on Twitter and a much bigger success on Instagram. And they also make money. If they're tweeting like, oh, look at the eyeshadow I'm using. That would be for a girl. And, she's getting paid for that, for instance.
Yeah.
Just for that tweet or just for that Instagram picture.
Right.
I'm not at that level yet, but.
If you're a fan of Kevin Hart, or even if you're not a fan of Kevin Hart, but you're a fan of comedy in general, you should watch the Comedians in Cars with Kevin Hart being interviewed by Jerry Seinfeld. It's really good. It may change your point of view on Kevin. He's obviously a smart guy. He's studied comedy. He's studied the greats, and he got to where he is because of hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was great to see, like, he went on the road and then he started making his comedy appearances into movies. And now it just keeps growing. Every year he just invests more money in the next movie. Pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So, another thing I was thinking about when you were talking about YouTube, like canceling that channel, is that I think that has happened a few times to kind of big channels. But I think in general, the feeling that I get from watching the way that YouTube interacts with the creators that are on the platform is that they generally want us to succeed, but like any social network or any app that you use or any phone that you have to follow the terms of service. And that's the stuff that, by having free access to a service, you have to play within their rule book. And if you don't, then they don't have to keep you around. And, so that seems obvious when you say it, but I think there's a lot of people that, I have like a whole opinion about entitlement. But I think there's a lot of people who just feel a really big unnecessary sense of entitlement when it comes to, web services and social networks and, all the free stuff that we get to use that makes technology so amazing.
Yeah, we could build a career because 10 people thought of these cool things to give out for free.
Right, but there are rules that they built. Those 10 people built into their thing, and so it's just I think it's important to acknowledge that because a lot of people do have a really messed up sense of entitlement, and that comes back to bite you. And this is like a whole different. We could have a conversation about this, but that comes back to bite you in a bunch of different ways. That's part of why comments on YouTube are so jacked up. People think they're entitled to be able to speak about certain things that they're not. Maybe they are. I don't know. But, that wraps up into just how you interact with the world and how you interact with, especially like the digital stuff, and what you think you're owed and what you think you have access to.
You know what? It would be a lot nicer internet universe if everybody had to use their real name and their real address. Just like, remember the old days? You used to be like, you had a crush on a girl in high school, and you open the notebook, you open the white pages, and you're like, oh, she only lives like 2 blocks away. I'll make sure I walk this way so I bump into her on the way to school. So that was stalking in 1970 and 1980. And now you're not allowed. I mean, you can Google and find out where someone's a jerk, but it's not that easy anymore. The white pages used to give out all this information.
Yeah.
They don't do that on the internet. You can't just Google somebody's cell phone number unless somebody posts it, which, obviously isn't ethical. But all that information used to be public information. And, now you got like Reddit, and you got all these jerks on YouTube that just have some crazy name that doesn't mean anything. And, they don't claim the city. They never claim anything. And they can say and do what they want. There's even YouTube content providers that don't claim their real name, and they get to say and do what they want. It's, it's really annoying. I mean, I'm my name at everything. So people are like, what are you on Instagram? What are you on? I'm just like, I got my name on everything. As far as I know, there's no other Jimmy Direstas that are pretending to be me. It's all me. My name is it's my email address is my name at every @ such and such. I don't always check them, and it's my name and Snapchat, this, that, and the other thing. So, I mean, but if everybody was able to do that, you wouldn't have these people starting fights on YouTube, and you wouldn't have these people saying you're a moron for, doing this different way, or, that's why I stay, as far as I can away from Reddit. I know there are some fans of mine on Reddit, and I appreciate that. But for the most part, anytime someone links me to something on Reddit, it's just like if I feel like a piece of meat inside of 7 wolves, to just tear me to pieces. That's the emotion.
Is that a reference from something? What you just said?
No, I just, why I said that? Because I have wolves in my property, and at night you could hear them like when they sound like laughing devils. It's crazy. Like I go out to my car at like 2 a.m, and you hear the wolves out in the woods. It reminds me of the people on Reddit.
So one of the guys that I've read all his books and I follow him on social media is Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V, as you may know him. And he always talks about the first year that YouTube was out, he had a wine channel. He was one of the first personalities on Twitter. He was first. He invested in Instagram right away, and he's always saying to look for the next thing and don't attack it after it's big. Attack it in its infant stages. And so I'm always looking for the next thing, and I got on Snapchat, but I never really felt comfortable with it. So I've never really pursued it. But are you guys always keeping your eyes open for the next big thing or new avenues to promote yourself and share your content?
I mean, I keep an eye out for them. And like anytime a new app comes out or a new network or something, I'll grab my name just to get it if I can. But I also think it can be like you can spin your wheels a whole lot if you try to invest your time and build your community on every single thing that's out there. Because, just because they're new doesn't mean they're going to last or they're going to take off.
Well, it's funny. I have I kind of developed organically this kind of, with Snapchat, I only do like narratives. Like if me and Dave and Willie are going to hop in the truck and go do something, I'm like, this is a perfect day to do a Snapchat. If we're going to do something that's like starts in the beginning of the day, goes through the day, and ends at the end of the day. Or if I have like an exciting event like a flood, so I won't do Snapchat if I'm just going to be like doing something simple. And then also that to be said, Periscope, I only do Periscopes when the shop is full of weirdos. So when the shop has Dave and, my weirdo neighbor and we're all goofing around and we're farting and laughing, I'm like, oh wait, this is a perfect time for Periscope. And that's when I'll turn on Periscope because it just feels more festive to have to fill that live air if there's people there. For me, I feel otherwise, like I even get nervous when I have 10 people or there's never that many, but when there's like several people in the shop, and if I don't have like a laugh or something to say for a few seconds, I get a little neurotic. So that's how I utilize Periscope is when there's like a festive thing going on in the shop. And Instagram is to, so I have different reasons for different things. And as far as me, I have, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and Periscope. So is that 5? I don't know. I just stopped counting.
Facebook. Yeah.
I hate Facebook.
You have 2 Facebooks. You have your personal
I have 2
one.
Facebooks, and I don't know who listens to me here. I just there's always something. There's always like the neglected child that just doesn't get enough attention, and it's my fan page for Facebook, and I hardly ever answer the emails on it. When I have nothing to do for an hour and a half, I'll go on and I'll answer a block of emails. But a lot of people try to communicate through there. I mean, if you could just dig up my email on the internet, just email me directly. I mean, I get a lot of emails in a day from people that are just asking me simple questions, and I never ask how they got my email. It's somewhere out there. It might even be on my YouTube channel, but a lot of people ask me questions through that second Facebook page, and I answer once every 2 months, and I just feel bad. I don't want to turn it off because it's got a lot of likes, but I was cultivating it when I first got it, but then all these other things take precedent, and I don't even like regular Facebook. I just use it as a means to just say, hey, look what I'm doing at these other places. So,
yeah, kind of the same way. I mean, I'm not really a fan of it, especially like I put out a message on it the other day saying, hey, did you know that you're probably not seeing everything that I post on Facebook? Because Facebook it doesn't show everybody everything.
Yeah.
That, if they like your page or whatever. And so, I don't know, maybe that's a whole nother conversation. But there's a lot of problems with trying to be fully integrated on every single network all the time. And, as they're added, to your question, David, as they're added, it's hard for me personally to want to just dive in and, hey, I'm going to do Beam all the time, or I'm going to do whatever all the time.
Beam. I mean, I love Casey, but I still haven't figured out Beam. I haven't figured out the advantages of it. Yeah. Aside from just being in Casey's world, which is, somewhat attractive, but Beam is kind of useless. That's my review of Beam. I'm sorry, Casey. I really like you.
I'm pretty sure Casey doesn't listen to our podcast. Just a guess.
I was going to say, as far as, for me, summing up after hearing, everybody's opinion, means to an end. I guess, for me, it's the end is just to make more money on YouTube, either it's, through product placement or just volume watches, which gets us more money. The more people watch, the more money we get as far as AdSense goes. But yeah, I'm definitely open to new avenues, and it'd be curious to see once TV finally fizzles up and there's one Gold Rush, 18 is the only show on History, Discovery, A&E, TIY. That'll be the name of the actual channel. History, Discovery, DIY, pregnant at a teenager, MTV. It's going to be one channel. It's going to be one long Time Inc. It's going to be all those things Time Inc. at the end of it. And then it's going to be Gold Rush 18.
Well, any more thoughts on that subject?
Well, I guess I would say the only other thing for me is that another kind of end goal is not just to be the only one involved in what I'm doing. So I don't want to have a big company or anything, but I would like to have a team of people that all care about the same thing, that are working toward the same thing. Mm-hmm. Because I think when you have one person, so I'm one person that does a lot of things okay, and that gets me to a certain place. But when you have a team of 4 or 5 people that all do one thing really well, then as a group, you have all those things done really well. And so you can do every single one of them better. And so one of my long-term goals, whether YouTube is the vehicle that helps me make this happen or something else is to have a team that's doing a small team that's doing the same thing, but way better, and gives me the opportunity to be able to, to reach my end goal, inspiring people in different ways. And some of those ways may be off of YouTube. They may be, more podcast type media. They may be books. They may be plans. They may be, I don't know, other stuff. But as long as I'm one person, there's going to be a physical limit to how much stuff I can produce and how far I can reach. So one of my long-term goals is to have more hands and longer reach, I guess.
I feel that same way about my shop. I feel like I'm at a limit. I can't do, I can't keep, the biggest thing I made, I've done bars and stuff always in small pieces, but, my chest of drawers, which is fairly large cabinet, that's the limit of the size of things I could make. I'm tired of shuffling things around in that little small space, and I feel like I'm at my limit there. So this is, as far as potential growth, I have to move out of there. It's definitely something I'm feeling more and more strongly as the days go by.
Isn't it weird? Once you get something like that in your mind,
everything else
you can't stop thinking about it.
I know. It's when all of a sudden I think I need this tool, and I'm like, oh, there's one. Yep. No, there's another one over here. I'm like, wait a minute. Why do I need this? I'm sweating on Craigslist looking for a 1912 planer. I actually bought that planer. You guys saw it on Instagram.
It's huge.
It's nice.
It's huge. I love it.
Huge.
It's so sexy. I won't be able to set it up till spring though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's kind of outside and it's cold up there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I've come anywhere close to reaching my limits. As like, I don't think I'm this past year. I don't think I pushed myself hard enough, and so I'm trying to push myself this year a little bit harder. And I would love to have some help, like you said, Bob, to do the things that I don't enjoy doing, or maybe not the best at. But for right now, I like being the one-man show. I like having control of everything. That's just my personality. And so in the near future, it's just going to be me. But I like. We'll see how my mindset changes about that. When I do hit my limits, when I'm like, I can't do anymore. I can't take this anymore. I need help.
It's funny because like you're talking about hitting limits. Like I feel that way about myself a lot right now. Like, yes, I am at my capacity for how much I can produce. And when I look at it, when I can be objective about it, I'm totally with you. I have not filled up every moment of my time. I have not, like fully exhausted everything that I can do. I mean, I can do things faster and better and make more time here and there when I look at it. But it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to look ahead at like what's the balance going to be, this time next year. Is it me like making my schedule more precise and more, chopped up into like these little bits of time so that that's all I'm thinking about to make sure I can fit everything in? Or is it like, I want to make stuff and I want to pay somebody else to do something else that they really like to do and they're really good at, So I'm at that place where I'm trying to figure out like, is it a limit thing? Is that what I'm trying to bounce off of and trying to build a team because I'm limited or because I don't want to get limited or, that type of thing. And also, I've had companies before where I've had employees. And so I think if this was my first like kind of entrepreneurial thing, I would be really scared of letting things go. But I've had a history of having not everybody that's worked for me has been worthwhile, but some of the people have been just really, really good. You bring them in and they just own it and they take care of their job and it helps and it makes the whole thing better. And so I've had some pretty good experience with having those people around, which, I understand not everybody's had. So that may not be something everybody would want to jump to as quickly as I may be doing it. But
there was a time in my life where I had 6 or 7 people working for me and my brother when we were doing prototyping. And, it was fun when everybody was hitting on all cylinders. But then, interpersonal relationships, who has a crush on who's jealous of who, that all started creeping in. It was a real difficult year that my brother and I had in 2000.
I think we're all here where we are because we enjoy all the aspects of it. Like I'll just talk for myself. I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy editing the videos. I enjoy making the things. I enjoy the website maintenance for the most part until there's a disaster. And I like tweeting and Instagramming. So I'm enjoying all that. And eventually I might have to give up some of that if I want to keep pushing myself. But do you guys enjoy most aspects of what you do?
I do. I mean, when it comes to the website, you guys are more savvy than I am. I have to rely on my buddy Doug, who's amazing at branding, and Doug is great. So, and Doug and I trade, so there's always like he can call me and I can help him, and vice versa. So, I just wish I was more involved in that. It's like one of those things that's not sticking for me. Like I know I can go right into my Square account and change things around. And, when somebody says, hey, you have a word misspelled on this page of your website, I get all nervous. I'm like, Doug, there's a word misspelled. I know if I take 10 minutes, I could figure it out. But I'm always afraid I'm going to like delete my whole webpage. So I just need to be a little bit more confident in that area. But I love piecing together a video. Like you said to me before the thing started, you complimented my knife video and how it seems a little bit more edited, a little bit more precisely. And that was because I had more time to edit it between Christmas and New Year's. It was the only video I was working on. It was the only hard drive I had with me. If I had my other hard drive with me, I'd have 10 other movies to work on. But so I literally was putting that movie together every day as I was working on it slightly. So that was a lot of fun to me to spend that much time and really like tweak and, look at something and rearrange pieces Where usually I'm like, I get like a first pass, watch it, show it to Taylor, get a couple of opinions, edit it again, and then publish it. This time I had a lot more time than that. And that's very rewarding, is to do that. So yeah, I mean, of course, coming up with ideas. And so I like a lot of the aspects. Some of the
rewarding is the key word there.
Yeah.
It is rewarding to, like, I did all this for the most part myself. I've had some people help me. I've had other YouTubers and other people in social media help me. I've had my wife help me. I've had my friends help me with things. But for the most part, it's so rewarding because I got here because of these thoughts that I had in my head, and I've executed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like, I enjoy all the different parts of it, except for keeping track of receipts and that stuff. But I mean, as far as like the actual production end of things, I enjoy it all, but I'm better at parts of it than I am at others, and I think I'm more effective at some parts than others. I mean, like, take just the design of videos. Like, I do, there's the shooting, there's the editing, I'm starting to do some more motion graphics. There's like the audio stuff, and I'm pretty good with the camera, and I'm pretty good with the audio stuff. But the motion graphic stuff, the guy that I have, a friend of mine that's been working for me, he can do that stuff way better than I could ever do it. He's just better at it, And so even though I kind of enjoy figuring it out, the end result's never going to be as good as somebody who's just really good at it. And so I think part of what I enjoy is, and what's rewarding for me is like doing a really good job on something. What I think is a good job. It may not be what a commenter thinks is a good job. But so I would rather put my time, and this is in a really general sense, but I would rather put my time into the thing that I like. Oh yeah, I'm pretty good at that, and I can do that to a point to where it's like worthwhile me doing it versus somebody else doing it. Mm-hmm. And like the graphics, for instance, like it's just better if somebody else does it, and I want it to be good. So I would rather have somebody else do it.
We have high standards.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll probably do it for that topic. You guys want to talk about what we're watching or listening to, or drawing, or reading, or let's expand it a little bit.
I do have a YouTube video this time, and it is by Tested. We've talked about Tested before, but this one. I think, was it yesterday or the day before? They had a video on Kodak's new Super 8 camera. Have you guys seen this?
I saw the thumbnail, but that's...
So I don't know why I'm excited, and I don't even know how I would use this. I just know that I would want it. I never shot film video. I've had camcorders and stuff, the family camcorders and growing up, but I've never shot anything with a film camera that ended up being worth anything. But I used to shoot film photography all the time, and it's one of those things I kind of want to get back into because developing black and white photos was always fun. I miss the smell, which is a weird thing. But so Kodak has a new Super 8 camera coming out at the end of the year, and it records on film. It has a digital viewfinder, so you can see what you're recording. It records digital audio, and then so you buy the film from Kodak. When you buy it, you also get processing in that purchase. So then you send it off to Kodak. They will develop it. They will then send you the film, but they will also upload to their cloud the video from the camera syncs with the audio. Yes.
Nice.
So you can download it and then do whatever you want. And it's going to be at like 4K resolution. So you're going to get all that awesome grain and everything that you would get with a Super 8 camera. And that's
it's funny. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, it's they talk about this. Like, you guys remember shooting with a film camera back in the day, where you had 24 shots on that roll of film. Otherwise, you had to go and spend another $7 on a roll of film. So you took every shot meant something. It's not like these days where you just spray and pray with your phone and then you get the shot that you want out of that. So using this camera, there's only a few minutes on each roll of film. So you really have to say to yourself, is this what I really want to shoot? And it makes you think about what you're doing.
That's going to be interesting because what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of guys being creatively editing in the camera. So people are going to put together scenarios where they edit in the camera and then that's going to be it. And then what they get if they feel like they need to tweak it once they download the footage. What I was about to interrupt you and say, it's amazing that Kodak finally reinvented themselves.
I remember, what was it, like 12 years ago, they stopped making black and white film paper. And that was like, whoa, is that the end of Kodak? And I was working in a newspaper darkroom when they announced that they were going to stop making black and white film paper. And they started the whole film thing many years ago. And so, like you said, it's like you have, these days, if you're a one-person business or if you are a big corporation, you always have to find ways to reinvent yourself because everything is changing. Just like we mentioned earlier, YouTube might not be around forever. So what's going to be the next step?
The funny thing is like maybe it's got to be 17, 18 years ago. I don't even remember exactly, but it was my dad's birthday and he was buying all his technology stuff for himself. He was like treating himself to all these computer things. And I wasn't even really big into the computer at all. He had an email before me. And so I went to Staples to their electronics section. I'm like, oh, Kodak's making a digital camera. I'll buy that. It was basically like a still video camera where it like took a video still. That's like what the resolution was. But it went on to like a piece of like I don't even remember, a disc, some kind of disc. And then you put it into your computer or you wire it just like you do now, but primitive. And I was like, oh, and that was the very first digital camera I ever saw was by Kodak. And then it disappeared. Apparently they were like trying to suppress digital to try and keep film alive. And that's where they lost their foothold. But they put out a digital camera, the first one that I ever saw. But it was the last one I ever saw from them. It's still sitting. My dad cherishes everything. And he still has it like in its box tucked up. And, it's like looking at a Polaroid camera 10 years ago. You're like, what the hell is good as this? Yeah.
It's interesting you were talking about editing, the people who are going to be editing in the camera.
Like Vine.
Because I have 2 rolls of Super 8 film that I shot when I was in college. And I edited the story in the camera, and I've never gotten them developed. So it would be really interesting to see. Because I used to shoot Super 8 a little bit.
I used to shoot 16 millimeter. I have an Ariflex. I have an old Army Ariflex camera that I used to shoot with. And I made literally a couple, 2 short movies. And I had one output to video, and then I edited the videotape instead of the actual film because it was like kind of when they stopped editing film, right in the beginning of Final Cut Pro. I bought the camera before 9/11 for about $6,000 with lenses and stuff, and then I brought it back to the same guy almost a year later. In New York, 9/11 was sort of the digital revolution when all the photographers started publishing their event photos, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, these are all digital photos," and I went back in to sell my Ariflex kit, and the guy says, I'll give you $500 for it. He goes, I can't even sell it anymore because the digital revolution has completely steamrolled my business in the last year. And so I just kept the camera. It's sitting in storage.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy, what have you been watching?
Well, I'm going to I'll talk about Hickok 45 since I talked about it. I mean, if anybody's like a gun nut, I'm like a secret gun nut. I'm not a big out in your face gun nut, only once in a while. So Hickok 45 talks about guns, vintage guns, and remakes of vintage guns, and he shoots them and talks about stuff. So I mean, you get a good gun education on there. And I was, again, intriguing situation where they lost their channel, got it back without any real explanation, and how scary that could be. So they have a video, this is from 4 days ago. I just noticed of how they discuss what happened. And also, I just want to make one thing clear. I'll get a lot of emails from time to time, especially these last couple of weeks, telling me that Core 77 is a channel that's stealing my content. And I just want to make it clear that I have a deal with them, and that, I'm sure the people that are listening already know this, but I do have a deal with Core 77 for exclusive content that will only be on their channel from me. And that's core77.com website, but their channel has the same name. So I just wanted to clear that up. I know about it, and it's not thievery.
Cool. Well, for me, I actually want to give a TV recommendation, or just, I guess it's TV. But so last time I recommended Mr. Robot, remember? And then I came back the next week and said, "Oh, I watched some more of that, and it's kind of crazy." So, so this show, I'm going to give kind of the same disclaimer because I've only seen like 2 episodes, so I don't know what it's going to turn out to be. But what I've seen is really cool. It's called The Man in the High Castle. You heard about this? I believe it's an Amazon exclusive. I started watching it because it's in 4K, and I was curious what a 4K TV show would look like. So it's based on a novel, and it's set in, I guess, the 50s, sometime in the 50s. They haven't really set a date yet, but it's just like normal life going along as if the Nazis won World War II and took over.
I saw trailers for it.
So they took over half the U.S. and then Japan took over the other half. So there's like a neutral zone in the middle where the two can't meet, and so it's just like so far it's about a few people. There's some sort of rebellion happening against these two. It's
the resistance,
but it's like everything is period. So all the trucks and all the clothes and all the stuff is all to that period. I love when the shows do that well because it seems like there'd be so much detail to keep track of. But anyway, it's a kind of suspense spy type show set in the 40s or 50s, I guess 50s.
That's amazing. I saw a couple trailers for that, and I was intrigued. I wanted to watch that.
Yeah, it's good so far. Really well acted and shot, and has a kind of a specific color grading to it to make it like fit in that what we think of as that time period and stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, cool.
I want to go back and say one more recommendation because we've
already had two.
So now I'm going to steal a third one. Making a Murderer on Netflix. I've seen the trailers for it and I kind of blew it off, but I started watching it this week, and boy, I tell you, it's crazy. I don't know where it's going, but it is crazy.
We've seen one episode. We're watching episode 2 tonight.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that.
All I know is that it's crazy.
It just makes you. It can scare you to live in America and just not know, what happens.
Yeah, I would avoid shows like that. I watch TV to escape reality.
I would watch
not
that
to fall
show
deeper into it
to see what could potentially become of if you're not paying close attention. It's crazy. I mean, I don't even know where it's going. I think I Taylor, my Google investigator, we already know like what's current events because she looked at it up when we were watching. But
nobody spoil anything for us. First person that spoils anything, I'm banning them. I'm banning their IP. I'm banning them from all my networks. Don't ruin this for us.
By the way, that's all public information. It's in the news. It's not scripted. So.
Yes.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I still won't watch it. So, let's say a big
Bob,
big
you're going to
thanks.
spend 20 years in jail before they check the DNA.
I'm going to say a big thanks to Luis Gonzalez, Chris Kopp, and Jeremy White, and everybody else from
I got to hang out with Luis this week. So, Luis, thank you, brother. It was so much fun to meet you in person and hang out, and we had a lot of laughs. So,
awesome.
He came to New York for 3 days, and we got to steal away for a couple of hours here and there.
Cool. Well, thanks to him and everybody else from Patreon, and that support really helps, and we really appreciate it. So
thank you.
Thank you for that. And if you guys want to help, you can go to patreon.com/makingit, or you could just share the show. You could go to iTunes and leave a review and a rating. You could, come up with a creative way to share our show to people you know. That would be awesome.
Thank you.
I guess that's it for this week. Unless you guys got anything else.
That's it.
That's it. Cool. See you guys next week.
See you later.
Bye. Nothing for me.
What? No, I love you.
I love you.
Yeah. Stop.
Yeah.
Wait, mine's going to have an I love you at the very far end.